Our group decided to advertising the Vancouver 420 Marijuana Festival in 2017 as we believed in the benefit of legalizing, regulating, and restricting the use of pot. Utilizing the social psychology concepts such as group boundary permeability, collective identity, perception of injustice, and perception of inefficiency, which suggests that likelihood of engaging in collective action. We strategically and creatively construct an advertisement to increase interest and attendance of Canadians to attend 420 next year. The legalization of marijuana has long been an issue of connection here in Canada. However, the current Liberal government plans to end the debated issue by legalizing marijuana in spring of 2017. For many years, the 420 Festival held in front of downtown Vancouver Art Gallery has been a pillar of support for marijuana advocates. In fact, in 2015, it was reported that 59% of Canadians supported the legalization of pot, which had increased from the previous year and will likely keep growing as time goes on. The growing support is probably due in part of festivals like 420 because people show up in the thousands and peacefully enjoy marijuana.
The event itself and its popularity demonstrate that many Canadians are passionate about legalizing marijuana and feel as part of the group of pot supporters they should gather in large numbers to fight for their cause. Though through our advertisement, we created the same feeling of group membership and emphasized the struggle that supporters have had to overcome to finally get closer to achieving their goal, the legalization of marijuana. One of the essential motivators of collective action is referred to as group boundary permeability. Members of a group who feel that the boundaries between their group and a dominating group are impermeable are more motivated to engage in collective action. The impermeable boundaries between the two groups should make the advantaged members feel as though their group cannot move up in society or receive better societal treatment because of their group membership. In the first scene, when the Liberal government is mentioned, we are showing the government as the outgroup with the advantage and power over the in-group of marijuana supporters. The Canadian government has always had the power to legalize marijuana, but they have not. Therefore, they have been and still are maintaining the impenetrable boundaries between these two groups. When the person in the first scene emphasizes the word finally, and the second person says, we gotta make sure they keep their promise, we are stressing the fact that the legalization of marijuana has been an issue that its group members have fought for a long time. Also, the character that is unsure of whether she will attend the festival and describes the event in a negative fashion represents the stance the Canadian government has had up until very recently. Her look is polished and preppy to push the similarities between her and the anti-pot agenda that has been pushed for many years by elite Canadian politicians. Our advertisement promoting the 2017 420 Festival reiterates to the viewer that the battle is not over. The boundaries between the government and anti-pot legalizers and marijuana advocates are still up, even if the new Liberal government is promising to legalize pot next year.
The second key motivator of collective action is collective identification. It is the idea that when we see ourselves as part of a group, we are more likely to take action and support a group cause. One type of collective identification is basic group identification. This is simply identifying oneself as part of a group. First, in the beginning of the ad, the boy declares he is a marijuana smoker who uses it to reduce his anxiety and is attending the 420 festival. This demonstrates a basic group identification. in which viewers can identify with marijuana smokers and will be interested in attending the event. The ad also targets people who smoke marijuana to alleviate physical and mental ailments. Second, we included individuals of different races, genders, ages, and socioeconomic statuses who say, "Come and support 420." This strategy targets many supporters and non-supporters. Most people who will watch the ad will be able to identify with at least one marijuana supporter presented. Perhaps they will realize that they too can attend and support 420 next year. The second type of collective identification is activist identification. This is when a person identifies as part of the activist group. In our ad, we also included videos of previous 420 festivals showing tons of supporters, activists, and the kind of things people have done to show support. The ad targets those who will realize and view themselves as activists as well. Once they identify themselves as an activist, after seeing activists in the video, this could motivate that type of person to attend the 420 festival based off activist identification. The last type of collective identification is opinion-based group identification. This is when a person identifies as part of a group because they share the same beliefs as the disadvantaged group. In the ad, the girl wearing all black states, "You don't even have to smoke pot at all. Support is all they need." She expresses her beliefs and opinions about not needing to smoke, but would still identify as a marijuana supporter. Using this strategy, non-smoker viewers who share the same opinion will be able to collectively identify themselves as members of the pro-marijuana group, which will increase the likelihood of people's attendance.
With the announcement of the Liberal government's plan to make the legalization of marijuana a reality, the perception of injustice may not seem to fit into this cause. However, action is still necessary as many people who use marijuana are subjected to unfair and inaccurate portrayals of marijuana users. We wanted to use this ad as an opportunity to show that the 420 Festival is not something for people who partake in smoking marijuana, but for those who want more information and are curious about this community. We included the character as someone who uses these stereotypes to represent the authorities who wish to repress those who smoke cannabis and uphold these inaccurate stereotypes. The character of the girl in the white shirt was used to demonstrate how someone may uphold and use these inaccurate stereotypes as a reason not to go to the festival. The individuals you meet at a festival are unlikely to represent the lazy stoner stereotypes we've all become familiar with. The stereotype has become so strong that many researchers believe that stereotype threat may be the reason as to why cannabis users exhibit decreased cognitive functioning. Cannabis users were found to exhibit the stereotypical decreased cognitive functioning when under the stereotype threat condition. We wanted to include an element of injustice in our ad, but decided not to include many negative emotions as the ultimate goal is to draw people to the event. The pending legislation still does not seem to aid the current view of situation from unjust to celebratory. Even with the amount of cannabis users that have their medical cards, many cannabis users still feel as though they're being deprived what should be rightfully theirs. Cannabis clinics continue to receive tickets and be shut down, with a total of 22 in the Toronto area and numerous others in Vancouver that are constantly under surveillance. However, we wanted this ad not to push people away from the cause and chose to include the perception of injustice as someone who doesn't understand the good that can come from going to the festival, and have the ad itself persuade them to learn more about this respectful and dynamic community. The decision to use positive emotions was taken from research that shows empowerment can arise from collective action through collective self-objectification. Collective self-objectification is the process of using the participant's social identity against the power of dominant groups. We decided that if the ad showed negative images, that it could be negatively associated with cannabis, such as clinics being shut down, and this may bring down attendance to the festival. Research has shown that activists that experience feelings of unity, support, and other positive emotions was the best predictor of future involvement. By taking a positive route in our ad, we figured this could only bring more involvement from those that may have been skeptical about the cause. Having the ad depict numerous types of people who come to the festival and showing people of all walks of life brings together a stronger collective identity who may be able to identify with the injustice of being depicted as something you aren't. The perception of injustice was made to be relatable to not only those who use cannabis, but those who may come later to support the cause.
The final key motivator for collective action is perceptions of efficacy, which can be a group or individually dependent. Perception of efficacy is the perceived amount of control a group has and whether they can positively change the situation or decrease maltreatment. Two conditions contribute to one's perception of efficacy: malleability and resources. Malleability refers to the flexibility of the system. The idea of being able to change something, in this case, the legalization of marijuana. If the system is inflexible and the government is completely rigid, the minority in-group will most likely be afraid of attempting change due to fear of punishment. In the ad, we show the malleability of the liberal government by emphasizing the phrase, "finally going to legalize marijuana." The sentence is used to demonstrate how the liberal government is flexible and is already making compromise and is willing to legalize marijuana. The second condition is whether the group has the necessary amount of resources to pursue the change of the in-group treatment. Resources can refer to a variety of things, but some of the most common are time, money, and support. In the ad, we used the time-lapse to show a multitude of different people to show that to support 420, you don't necessarily have to contribute money, but rather can help the cause by other means such as time and support. To support 420, it is as simple as showing up to the rally. This motivates people and shows that even if you are not socioeconomically wealthy, you can still support the legalization of marijuana. It is important to mention that if either of these processes are missing, then it is extremely detrimental for collective action. By creating an ad with high perceptions of efficacy, we created a situation in which people are more likely to support the upcoming rally.
Collective action has usually been seen as bringing people together through anger, which does work, but we decided to take a positive direction to create greater collective identity, which we decided has also worked through research that we have done. By using the 4 key motivators of collective action, we created an ad which will encourage others to come out and support the upcoming 420 rally. Thank you.